Welcome to A Shot Between the Reels. My name is Dan, and over on this side...
My name is Brendan.
Hello, Brendan.
Hello, Dan.
It's good to be back once again for another frank discussion. Yes. How are you doing?
You know what? I am good. I'm definitely good. It's been fun to do a string of films that we've just recently watched and we get to talk about. We'll kind of see how it goes, but...
Yes. So, we have been binging through Resident Evil on Amazon Prime. So if you want to join us and you've got Amazon Prime Video, just hook yourself up. And I haven't worked out how many minutes worth of Resident Evil we've watched. Maybe we should total it up.
Too much, right? It's about, I'd say it's roughly an hour and a half per film. Sometimes ones are a little bit longer, and even then,
it's a lot.
It's a lot.
It's about 10 hours, probably near the 10-hour mark.
Yeah.
Rather be watching Lord of the Rings Special Edition for that time. Who knows? Maybe. We're going to find out. So, we've already done two. We've done the first.
The first two. Yeah.
Resident Evil, which is the first one, funnily enough. Yeah. And we did Resident Evil Apocalypse. Now, that Apocalypse, our rating took a nosedive.
Significant. A fairly significant nosedive. Yeah.
So, we're going to see where we go from here in the franchise.
Yeah.
Brendan, what is the next film in the sequence?
So we spoke about the fact that I will say the naming conventions for these films are stupid and I don't like them and they make it really hard to work out what's going on, and it didn't matter how many times I read them, I still got confused. But the next film is Resident Evil Extinction.
Yeah, which sounds like it probably should be the last one.
You would have thought, wouldn't you? But then maybe it's kind of, it was an apocalypse, and now it's the extinction of the human race. So
yeah,
it kind of maybe
they probably went too far, didn't they? In the first that sort of two sequels.
Yeah,
Apocalypse, then Extinction. There's nowhere else to go really after that.
We'll see where it goes after that.
But. Exactly. So, right. So, are we going to have an attempt at explaining the plot?
Yeah, we can. This one is one of the ones where I think I do sort of remember. So it's got a bit more of a solid theme in a sense that I believe this is the one where it's set more in a desert wasteland type thing.
Yeah, so the T virus affects not just people, it's affected the planet.
Yes. And we're following, again, still main character Alice, and she is kind of out in the wasteland by herself. She eventually comes across a group of people that are just surviving, and together she's heard of apparently a place in, I think, is it Canada or something, where there's or something
Alaska.
like that.
Alaska.
Where there's no infection and everything's fine. And they're like, well, I'll hold on to anything I can get. And she, at a point, convinces them to do it. And then it's about them trying to, get out, basically. Yeah.
Yes, indeed. Okay, so it's time for our star rating.
Do you like that? Okay.
Would you like to go first on this one, Brendan?
I'm happy to go first. I gave Resident Evil Extinction 3 stars.
Ooh, 3 stars. Now, you gave Resident Evil, the first one, 3 stars as well, didn't you?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay, so this is a turn up.
Yeah.
In form. Okay, brilliant.
It's gone up, yeah.
I gave Resident Evil Extinction 4 stars.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
I hovered over 3.5.
Wow.
And I thought I really enjoyed this film. to stuff it. Even though I know it's not a 4-star film, deep down, I enjoyed it so much, I'm giving it 4. So that's my logic.
Bold.
I'm allowed to enjoy films that aren't perfect.
You are. Yeah. No rules against that.
No rules against it. So, what did you enjoy about this film, Brendan?
So, I mean, what I found interesting is the way this film starts out has a bit of a Mad Max Fury Road vibe. That is not to say that you could even compare those films, but I do like the fact that it starts out with she's a clear badass on the road. You have that bit where they call for help and then they wind her up when they're like, oh, actually, we don't need help at all. And then they let all these dogs out and it immediately gives a chance for some good murdering to happen, which I did enjoy.
Yeah.
I thought the way the action is shot in all these films annoys me because it never really kind of shows you what you need to see. And it may be down to the fact of action that was filmed around that time, but I think also it's just, you could argue it's down to a bit of laziness or just how they do it. They don't, because they're like getting doubles in and things like that. But I do think the stuff that I like about this film is it's just, I think probably the same as you. It's just crazy. It's completely crazy. Like, I was texting you saying, I don't get it. Suddenly, Alice has gone from being whatever she is in the first film to she's like a Jedi in this film. She's got
she can
like literal powers.
Yeah, like telekinetic powers. And I think that's one of the reasons why I really enjoyed this film.
Yeah.
Suddenly, it kind of felt like there was more. It was more of a leveler in terms of like, this kind of evil kind of virus thing that is hard to sort of beat. Actually, kind of giving her powers kind of makes it more of a fairer fight.
Mm.
And that made it interesting.
Okay.
And some cool visuals. The bit where she rescues the people, and there's all those crows.
And she like the fire goes up into the air and just
That bit's really cool. I love that bit.
Yeah.
And that whole sequence is brilliant, actually, when you've got the birds attacking the bus.
Yeah, it's good.
I thought that was really, really good.
Yeah, it's cool. It is cool. I think it's got enough of like the goofy stuff, doesn't it, in the film itself, like the moments when they're out in the field and they go to Las Vegas or wherever it is, and they're like picking off the people, and it's and it's kind of like it's totally over the top, but I like the idea that Umbrella completely fear Alice as well, so they're like really, really terrified of her because they know how powerful she is. And also, I think it's a special shout out, isn't it, that Iain Glen is in this film as well, which is great.
Iain Glen, he is class. Okay, so obviously Game of Thrones is probably where most people would have seen him.
Mm-hmm.
An absolute boss in that. Brilliant. The way he says Khaleesi, it's just amazing. No one else could say the word Khaleesi.
Like Iain Glen,
wow. Tingles. You get tingles just thinking about it. But yeah, he really has that kind of gravitas, and because he's English, perfect bad guy.
As we discussed, got to have an English bad guy scientist in your.
And he is great, and he's great when he starts to go mental, and obviously when the virus sort of, that stuff, absolutely insane. Like we've said, like there's so much about this film that is mad. Quite frankly, they're only going to get madder as we go through these films.
Definitely.
But yeah, I think he was great. So rather than having like the virus or the mysterious corporation, actually having someone who is a bad guy, who is actually quality as well as an actor, really helps this film. The other thing that I think really helps, or I think is really good in this film, is that little group that Alice is helping, that little community.
Yeah.
You get quite kind of connected to those people quite quickly.
You do, yeah.
The film I always think of, which does that perfectly, is the film Aliens, and the Marines. Like within a few minutes, you know the dynamics within the group, and you care about that group, and you feel invested. For me, that's the benchmark.
Because with that, you wake up with them, don't you? So they're coming out of cryosleep, and you're waking up with them, and you get all their introductions,
the banter.
And immediately you're kind of met with each person's personality, and I think you get a lot of the same kind of vibe with this film. You immediately know, well, this is kind of like a bit more of your comic relief character. This is the one that you're caring about. It's Claire, isn't it? Redfield, and she comes across a lot more as your leader. So I would mention that as these films go on, about their only relation that they have in many ways to the games of which they're inspired by, they take a lot of the characters that you would have already heard of if you've played those games. So you'll know some of them that they slowly pepper in. I don't know entirely if they always kind of follow the same story. I don't think many of the times they do, but it's interesting that you get those names and as they kind of start to bring them in. But
and actually, like Ali Larter, who plays Claire, she's really good. So that definitely helps as well. One of the people who bugs me, and he's in Apocalypse, is the guy who what's his name in the film? Let me look it up.
Oh, I totally know who you mean.
Carlos Oliveira, Oded Fair. I'm sure the guy's great and he's a nice guy, but for whatever reason, just don't buy him in that role at all.
No.
So and he keeps popping up in these films.
He does. He gets bitten in this one, though, right?
Yeah. But and also like Alice kisses him, and I'm kind of like, not quite buying that relationship.
It's definitely forced.
They're kind of like, oh, we need a bit of a romantic moment because we haven't had one. I don't buy that. I quite like one of the things that I thought was a bit funny as well was you have the character LJ.
Of course, he had to come back.
Yeah, he gets bitten, right?
Yeah,
and it takes about 2 days for him to turn, right, to eventually die and turn into a zombie. Whereas Oliveira's character gets bitten.
And it's like
a zombie like within half an hour.
Yeah, I know. I was gonna say it was like less than an hour, and he's turned completely.
Yeah, and he's trying to eat his mates. And I was just like,
plot convenient turning to zombie.
Yeah, exactly.
And also, I was going to ask you, at what point do the zombies start running? Because they're like walking in the first, they're like shuffling in the first film, and then suddenly I was like, hang on, they like sprint, and at some point they just kind of change.
It's like they found the guys who were kind of athletes before they were dead.
And then they were all athletes. They all caught up and only the athletes.
Because by the last one, they're proper sprinting, aren't they?
They're like all of them are fast.
Yeah. So my other one that I thought was funny was it's always good to have a pop star in a film, isn't it? Someone who isn't an actor. So Ashanti, who I don't know if you remember her from the early 2000s.
Yeah.
Singing with Ja Rule. And she appears in this, and she's the first one to die, I think, fairly early on in the death count.
Yeah.
It was kind of like, well, why is she in there? And I thought she was actually okay, to be fair to her.
Yeah. Wait, is she the one on the bus?
Yeah, she's the one who stays on the bus.
She does the sacrifice play.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So if you're going to die in a film,
it's a good way to go. It's a pretty good death from what I remember. It's fairly brutal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what else to say about this film. Other than I just thought it was fun.
Yeah, agreed. I think it's fun. It's dumb, but I definitely liked it more than the second one, which is why it got my 3-star rating.
Yeah.
Because I think it had just enough where it's some good acting performances, like you're saying.
Yeah.
It's still stupid, but you got Iain Glen, and he definitely gets marks up. nearly always. He's kind of always bringing my marks a little bit up in these films.
Yeah.
So whenever he's on, it
Yeah.
just makes it that little bit better. And yeah, and I like the setting. It's different enough from the last film.
Yeah.
It's all kind of the stuff they do with the colors and everything else like that.
Yeah.
I mean, it feels, you can feel the danger, which I quite enjoyed as well.
Yeah. I guess it makes sense to, if you've got the previous films Apocalypse, to set this one in a post-apocalyptic landscape.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree. It looked great. Some really cool sequences, and the whole Arcadia thing was interesting. Like kind of giving them hope, but you never quite find out what that is until the next film.
Yes.
It does fall into the trap of the previous film, where for the last 10 minutes, you basically have what would be the start of the next film.
Yes.
Starting the next storyline.
Yeah.
And we have, I think in this one, we have another, what I mentioned in the last film, in the last recording that we did, nerdgasm moment. You mentioned it to me on WhatsApp. How often they love to get her naked.
Oh man, like they love it.
So yeah, I think this one she walks in and there's all the clones, isn't there? I think that's this one.
Yeah. Oh no, this. Oh, does this one
start
with one? Her? This one starts with her waking up.
Yes, waking up.
Well, because as we discover, is all the clones which they're trying to recreate her.
Yes, and that's very cool as well.
Yeah,
that sequence was.
I remember liking that bit at the beginning because I was like, man, this is a cool. It's quite a cool establishing shot because initially they recreate it so well, you almost think you are watching. I had to check and be like, am I watching the same film?
100%. I had the same feeling. I was like, hold up.
Did I click on the right one? And then I was like, oh, this is
very clever.
Cool. It is a very good establishing shot. Yeah.
Now, the other little sort of thing I wanted to throw out at you was the director.
Yeah.
His name is Russell. I don't know how you pronounce his surname. McKay?
I didn't see, but yeah.
McKay?
I trust you.
He directed Highlander.
No way.
Yeah, he's not done loads of directing, but that was his previous directing credit. So
interesting, because this is about the last deviation in directors we get, right?
Yeah, we're back onto to Mr. Paul W.S. Anderson.
We are for the rest.
And on that note, let's move on to the next one.
Let's do it. Okay.
So the next one.
Yeah, this
Afterlife.
Afterlife.
Okay, so Afterlife. Can you remember this one?
We'll do.
They're all blurring into one.
I think we should do our star rating first.
Star rating first.
So
fine.
I gave Afterlife 2 stars.
2.
Yeah.
2 stars. Well, I've got to be honest. My brain is drawing a complete blank. So I'm going to look it up.
Okay.
Because I did write it down. And I'm pretty sure it's not much more than 2, but we'll find out. Let's have a look. The tension is building.
Drum roll, please.
Resident Evil Afterlife. I gave this film 2.5 stars.
Oh, you are generous.
Yes.
Okay.
Very. Okay, so I'm drawing a blank on this one a little bit. So it's the whole Arcadia thing, isn't it?
Yeah, so this is the one, if I remember correctly, this is the one where we start at the beginning of the film and it starts out in a mental way, right? And you would only know if you'd actually watched, I think it's like the stinger of the last film, or it's the very, very end of the last film where they show her, she has all the clones and she says, I'm coming to kind of like do an all-out assault on Umbrella, where they're based. And when I come there, it's going to be like, I'm going to bring all my friends. They're not just going to be me. It's going to be all my clones as well.
Yeah.
And the beginning of the film is batshit crazy. She goes there with all of her clones and they got their magic Jedi powers, and she does like taking down the base. Basically, that's
Yeah.
what it is. It's the all-out assault, and then oh yes, let's not forget we had the Wesker in the last film, the first shot of Wesker.
Yes. So is Wesker in the games?
Albert Wesker is in the games. I can't remember at what point he shows up. I mean, you hear more of him in like 4, but I think he's probably before then. But Albert Wesker is like crazy. He's crazy like a Japanese character in a big way. Like he's always wearing sunglasses. He's got ridiculous like bleach blonde hair. And like wears a massive trench coat. I mean, it's always he's always basically he looks like a video game character, even on film. Looks like a video game character. Ridiculous. So he's like the big. He's supposedly the big bad, right?
Big bad boss. Yeah.
And they have kind of like this thing where she's going to confront him and take him out, and then through various course of events, get stripped of her powers, so the T-virus is ripped from her, so she's no longer superpowered.
Yeah.
And then the rest of this film kind of plays out with her trying to find this Arcadia place, meet up with the rest of her gang. Right.
Good memory, Brendan. Great memory. So, I want to talk about that start sequence. I think the first 20 minutes or so, brilliant.
Yeah,
sign me up.
It's good. I mean, it's a good old fun time.
Yeah, the opening sequence as well, where it's you've got I'm guessing it's Tokyo. I'm assuming.
Yes, and it's that slow motion shot, isn't it, of like the outbreak of the virus?
Yeah, brilliant, great fun. But yeah, I just loved all that stuff. Absolutely mad with all the Alices and Wesker on the plane. Trying to he takes her powers away, and
he does
quite sure how she survives the plane crash.
It doesn't say. It doesn't give you that information.
Walks out of the rubble.
Supposedly, and he does the whole like crazy video game thing where he nukes the site from orbit, and it just lets off a massive bomb and then just collapses the site. It's so dumb. I mean, you even get the shot. I get the feeling that this film, I can't remember seeing things in it being like, they definitely took massive influence from things like The Matrix.
The Matrix, oh my goodness.
They got like a massive hard-on for The Matrix because they do like all of this stuff, like people are in leather, straight up just leather, and she has a moment where she's diving with her clone in the air towards Wesker, just shooting these people with like double pistols.
100%. I mean, like, The Matrix doesn't exist. That opening sequence in that film doesn't exist. It's basically like a reenactment of the lobby scene, isn't it? But
it's like the lobby scene, and there's a bit where she dives out of a window backwards as well, right? It's like straight.
And at the end of the film, when she's fighting Wesker actually does the bullet time dodging bullets, and I was like, "You gotta be kidding me!" And he is basically Agent Smith.
He is, because he's wearing the glasses and everything. He talks
like him, and he has the sunglasses on all the time.
Yeah.
And I was going to talk about Wesker because in the previous film we don't see him much in Extinction, but he's there, and he is cast with Jason O'Mara playing. Now, I don't know if you've seen much of Jason O'Mara. I've seen him in a few things, and I think he's quite good. He's a decent actor.
Yeah.
With charisma. Okay.
Yeah.
So part of me wonders whether they were like, wait a second, I think we've miscast this guy because he's got too much talent, too much ability to bring something to a role that we frankly want to be as one-dimensional as possible. And like the guy who plays him, to be fair, at least the performance is consistent throughout the rest of the films.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, do you not feel like he almost looks like he almost looks like a CGI character? He's like he just looks oddly smooth all the time.
I think they must have messed about it in post. They must have done some CG work on his face.
Yeah, he looks.
Yeah, and it gets worse, doesn't it? I think
it definitely gets worse. But
yeah,
I mean, so on top of that, you've got the next part of this film, or the next rest of the part of this film, is a bit more kind of if I had to compare it to another type of horror, I guess maybe you've already said Aliens. Interestingly, I was going to say like Alien 3.
Yeah,
So
I had the exact same thought. I was thinking, this reminds me of Alien 3.
yeah,
Yeah,
because it's like in palette and tone, right? Because you go all the way into kind of like these dark environments there,
yeah,
and you don't know kind of who you can trust, all of that kind of thing. They got the guy locked away, who's later discovered to be like it's Claire's brother, isn't it?
yeah,
Chris Redfield, and then so you have all of like the
yeah.
just all of this kind of stuff. You've got that, I can't remember the name of that guy, but the guy who's like is he a sports guy or whatever?
Meant to be a basketball player in the NBA, isn't he?
Yeah.
Who, frankly, he's not. That's just such a bad character in terms of the way they kind of introduce him. And so he's introduced by slam dunking the back of her plane so it doesn't fall off the edge of the building. And I was like, is he trying to do a dunk? And then you look at him and he's wearing like an air, a Jumpman logo
it's
stuff.
as ridiculous as you could possibly begin to imagine. It's like slowed down, really dumb.
It is really dumb.
Yeah.
And anyway, the whole landing on top of a prison building was a bit mental anyway.
Yeah, definitely.
The one thing I loved about the prison sequence as well is that the Chris Redfield character is played by Wentworth Miller, who did you watch Prison Break?
I knew exactly what you were getting at.
And I was like, okay, so the one guy who is still in prison is going to be the guy who was in prison.
It made me laugh instantly when I saw it was him. I was like, yes, amazing.
I was like, now, did they cast him and then like try and make sure they could fit a prison into the film?
I hope so.
Or did they go, look, you're going to be in prison. We'd like to cast you because you are the prison break man.
Do you think maybe
like,
he
felt
like
that's me?
he felt typecast and really didn't like it?
Yeah,
it's
weird,
but it's
yeah, I think that it is. I didn't mind some of the stuff in the prison, but it's not all of it works that well.
I think this was one of the more forgettable films, in my opinion. Personally. Yeah. Because you have this is the one also where you have, I'm not sure what it's called. There's probably like a technical name for it, but the kind of monster that drags a massive hammer axe behind it.
I thought that was definitely a plus point. That one.
I kind of like that. It's really dumb, but it is.
Especially when you've got like this hordes of zombies, and then out of nowhere, this massive thing comes along.
It's like 8 foot giant behemoth thing.
Yeah,
yeah. It's and it's like knocking on the gate to kind of like get in, isn't it?
Yeah.
And then,
that's good fun.
Yeah,
I like that bit, and I kind of like some of the bit when they finally get on the ship and they kind of face off with Wesker. That bit's okay. Some of it's okay.
Yeah, where they discover that it's actually, there's people that are trapped in there that they're going to infect in the team.
That's quite clever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's good. And you can kind of see what's going to happen with the ending. I thought that I did have a good chuckle when she brings them. You think they're running away from the base, and actually she's just bringing them out so they can see him die on this ship as he like self-detonates it.
That's good, that bit. Yeah, definitely.
Quite amusing. But it's nothing special, is my opinion.
I think forgettable. I think this is one of the ones that will blur into the others.
Agreed. That is exactly my opinion. It does blur somewhat, but
which is a shame.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a shame. It started so well, that film.
It's got a strong start, for sure.
It does.
Yeah.
So I think that's probably enough about these next two. So we've done Extinction and Afterlife.
Yeah.
So that's number 3 and 4.
Next one you got to look forward to is the last two films. If you make it through, we applaud you.
Yeah, there will be a round of applause at the next video. So stay strong, viewers. Join us. We will. We can get through this together.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Okay, whose idea was this? Anyway, I think that's enough for now. Brendan, as always, it's been a pleasure.
As always, Dan.
And it's time to say goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.